Through this image, I'm going to use as my lit exposure. I had probably two young Nuo 563s, one over here on the left, and you can see it's pretty flashy over there. And I probably had another one here on the right. Nice white ceiling, so no problem. Anyway, I've got pretty bright exposure here, and I'm not even going to use the window. I'm not even going to use this back here, but I'm just going to use parts of this here to give me my flash exposure. Then I took an ambient shot, which is going to give me some shadows here, but I mainly have this one to light up the back. So if you look at the difference here, I think I'd like to have a little more light. Now this may not be perfect, but this is going to be for example of how to do this, more the mechanics. So we've got our lit shot, we've got our ambient shot. Then I'm going to go over here, and this is going to be our window shot on the right hand side. I'm going to do the darken mode on the right hand side, and then this will be the darken mode on the left hand side. So I'm not worried about the flare here, the reflection. I won't be using that. I'm only going to use this part right here. And you notice how this is brighter than the frame below it. So anyway, so I'm going to start here. I'm going to take my ambient shot, and I'm going to highlight, actually my ambient first. I'll show you what I'm going to do to it, what I always do to it. Okay, excuse me. Anyway, I'm going to take the highlights out of my ambient because I only really want it for shadows. Then for this shot, I'm going to do kind of like a preset of what I like to do. Take out the highlights, add in the shadows. I'm going to bring this a little darker here. Oh, you know what? I got to check if my laptop monitor's good. Okay, that's good. I might add a little whites here, a little black down here, a little clarity here, and that looks good. Now this is very, I mean, I guess you could get away with this in the window too, but it's a little one-dimensional, a little flashy. So anyway, so I'm going to highlight this, and then I'm going to highlight my ambient shot. There's the ambient. Actually, I'm going to darken this one down just a little bit too. Actually, no, I'm not going to darken it because I want to utilize the light back here. So I'm going to right click, I'm going to go to edit in, and I'm going to go to open as layers in Photoshop. I have an SSD in this laptop, so it really helps open up files fairly quickly. Okay, so now this is Photoshop now. That was Lightroom. This is Photoshop. Just going to enlarge it there a little bit. Okay, so we have our ambient shot here. Now you can do this different ways, but what I'm going to do is I want to keep my, here's the lit shot on top. I want to put my ambient shot on top, okay, because I'm going to mask in ambient. So I'm going to come down here, you see on the right hand side, add a layer mask, and then I'm going to click at the same time, hold down, as I click it, same time I'm going to hold down my Option key on a Mac, which would be your Alt key on a PC. So I'm going to hold down Option and click Add a Layer Mask, and it puts the lit frame on top. Next thing I want to do is, I'm already there, but you want to select your paintbrush. Okay? I'm going to be on normal mode. What I want to do is choose a nice soft brush with, you know, for this we can do 0 hardness. Okay? And you can choose the size brush you want. I'm going to go a little bit smaller. Okay? So now, here is opacity, we want 100%, and flow, we want to bring down. I'm going to bring it up a little bit from my normal because I want you to see it, what it's doing. But normally I would do 3% opacity, 3% flow, which is very subtle, but it really blends in well. So now basically I'm going to make this up here. First off, I want to get rid of this flashiness. So I'm going to start by painting in, and oh, also it's white on top, so I'm painting in. So I'm going to paint in the ambient, and you can see it. It's very subtle though. Okay. I hope you can see. And don't worry about going off it. We can fix that. I'm actually going to go a little higher flow so you can really see what it does, because it is pretty okay. So now let me show you the difference. Is I'm going to actually go backwards. Okay. Here is the first shot. Here is the shot before we painted in the ambient. Watch this. See this pillow mainly. See the light's coming from the left. We really want the light to come from the windows. And the windows are key here. So we want to make it look realistic. So we're going to paint in there. Okay? See, it's adding those nice shadows in there. It's what I call logical shadows. Adding the shadows from this little table. It's adding your shadows on the couch. And then I go on the floor a little bit. Okay? And I'm going to go back here. You can see that this looks like it's lit from the camera, but logically the light would be coming from the window, so we're going to paint in a little bit ambient there and on the floor. You see that? So I'm going to go back on this one. Look at it. This is before. This is after. So it's very subtle, but it really makes a difference. And literally everything I'm doing here might take 2 minutes if I was doing it real time. Now I'm going to go in here and show you another part. Okay? Look what happens when I blend in a little bit of ambient. Look at that. It's just bringing down. It's giving a little bit of 3 dimensions. And you can do, I usually do 3% opacity because I want to make it real subtle. Okay. Now, that's looking better. So what I want to do now is I want to do the ceiling. And I'm going to bring this down from 23%. I'm going to bring it back down to maybe, no, I'll go up to about 6%, which is still higher than I normally do. And also it's going to help too. You see these shadows here? That's from this light, lights, whatever you call that, that's holding the light up. What I'm going to do is now at 6%, just make this here, and I've got a nice soft brush again. Look, I'm adding in, it's just chilling out the whole ceiling. The other important thing to remember, when you do the brush, it's important to do the soft brush. You don't want to do a hard brush, okay? So, let me just zoom out here. Okay, let me go back. There it is before I painted it in. You see the shadows of this thing right here, the extension of the light. So I'm just going to paint in a little bit of ambient, okay? I like it. Now, because we're not going to use the windows, I'm just going to paint over this whole area, give it a little more ambience. Okay, there we go. See, and you're still retaining a lot of the lit area. I'm just going to bring a little more in there. Okay, you're retaining a lot of the lit area, but I think it's just going to make it much nicer. Now the other thing I'm going to do is, because I lit the foreground, let me go back into Lightroom. I'm going to show you. This is the ambient shot, and it's just too ambient. So look at the difference from what we've done already. Shoot, let me make this smaller. Okay, here is in Lightroom, here is the ambient shot, and here is the lit shot. So it's retaining a lot, and you can actually go back and you can erase. Where's my eraser tool? I got a new computer and I don't know where everything is. Oh, it's a whole different looking eraser. Anyway, but you know what? I could just go back here if I wanted a little more lighting look. I could just erase this. See? But actually that's 100%, so I wouldn't want to do 100%. Anyway, go back. That's where I like it. Okay, but back here, now look in Lightroom. I want to, you know, that's actually pretty good in there, but let's say I wanted to add a little more light in here. I don't have to put a light in there if I don't want to. I can just use some ambient. So I'm back in Photoshop now, and I'm going to go back to my paintbrush, and I'm at 6%. I'm actually going to bring it down to 5%. These little percentages make a big difference. Anyway, now that actually looks pretty good, but it looks a little dark, and I could have put a light in there, and I usually do. But for this, I want to show you how you can utilize your ambient. So look at here. This is the ambient, and you want to utilize this. So in here, we're just back to the Photoshop. We're going to paint in a little bit of exposure. Now, please understand that if you were to use a light back there, it's probably going to look a little better. But sometimes you don't have the time. Sometimes you just, if you've got a room back there and another room, you may just want to take an ambient shot to use that. And here's the deal. Right here in the background, it's really, in my opinion, it's just my opinion, it's not super noticeable that it's ambient here. Okay? So, we have now a fairly good looking shot, but here's the thing. These windows are everything, and you know what? These would be okay. I don't think they're bad, and but what I want to do now is I'm going to, for the intensive purposes of keeping this simple, instead of bringing in all my exposures and dealing with them, I'm going to now flatten this image so I can import the windows, or one at a time. So the bad part about this is it's becoming destructive. You cannot go backwards, but that's okay for this. Just want to keep it simple. So what I'm doing now is I'm going to flatten these two. So I just go Command on a Mac, Command E, and it flattens it. Okay? Now I'm going to go back to Lightroom, and I'm going to pick my main window, pull. This is, actually that's the other window. This is what I want. You got to agree that this is really much better window than this. Okay, so what I want to do here is the darken mode is another video which you can find if you search my YouTube channel. But basically we have exposed for the window, and I probably bounced the light off the ceiling, or actually I might have pointed the light directly at this YN 560. I might have pointed it here. But basically what it's doing is, at least for this half of the window, it's overexposed the frame and the couch. So what this allows me to do is to just paint it in. So watch this, try and follow along. This really isn't a video on window masking, but you're going to see it. So I'm just going to right click here. I'm going to edit in Photoshop. Okay. And you can see with that SSD how quickly images go into Photoshop. So now I've got this image in here. So now what I want to do is I want to go up to Window, Arrange, Tile horizontally, and I'm going to take, this is the image, I'm going to take it and drag it into the image, and it actually gave me a warning of destruct, I think. Anyway, I'm now going to close this out. Okay, so now I've got that image on top, so I want to put this image below, and it's going to be a mask. So I go back here, the same thing as I did before. I go over here to the create a layer mask, and again I'm going to hold down the Option key on a Mac, the Alt key on a PC. I'm going to click it, and there it brings up my photo. Okay, the one we were working on. Watch this now. Okay, so we're going to paint this in, and for Windows, I actually like to do 100%, and I like to do a hard brush. Okay, so I've got hard brush, 100% flow, 100% opacity in your paintbrush. But here, what I want to do here now is put it in not normal mode, put it into darken mode. And as I showed on the last one, I'll zoom in here so you can really see what it's doing. I could just, you know, if you didn't do darken mode and do your flash to make your frame brighter, you'd have to select everything. You have to select around the couch. But what I can do, actually I'll show you in normal mode what happens. It's normal mode, I'm doing, watch this. I can bring in the window, but if I go off the window, it's just painting there, so I'd have to select that. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to put it in darken mode. You can only do this if you do a flash and make this frame lighter. But now I could do it, paint it in, but watch this. I'm going off. Well, you're going to get some of the frame, so it's not perfect. But watch this. Joop, joop, joop. Just paint right over the window. And if you really do a perfect shot for the window, it's going to really be perfect. But I'll tell you, for everything, look at, I'm painting over the couch, but it's not masking in the couch because the couch is brighter than the layer below it. I hope this makes sense. Okay, I'm actually going to go one more window over because I think my flash worked there. Now I'm going to show you why I needed to do two. And it painted over here, so you could basically just go erase, and I can just erase what it went over here. What happens is over here I didn't do as much light, so it's not brighter. My flash didn't get over there, so I needed to do a second one. Okay? I know this is probably really complicated for some people. So, but don't worry about it. Yeah, I can do another video if it's necessary. So right here I want to do all these because to me this is looking great. Even with the darkness on the window frame, I think we can get by with that. I don't think anybody's going to ever notice that. But it was so easy just to paint it in. So now I'm going to flatten this again, and we could teach you how to bring in all your layers and work with them and not make it self-destructive. But that's a whole nother thing. So I'm just going to flatten it. Now I can't go back. So I'm going to go in here. I'm going to go to this is the right-hand side. Now we're back in Lightroom. This is the right-hand side. Now I'm going to go to the left-hand side. Okay, give me a second. There we go. This is the left-hand side. See, I made this bright. And I want to and here's the view. And actually one thing I'm going to do is I like to tweak my window pulls a little bit. So I'm going to bring it right like that. And that looks about right, what I want. But you notice this frame is brighter than the other layer. So I'm going to bring this again. I'm going to do Command E, which brings it into Photoshop. And there we have it, opened up already. I really impress upon you to get a solid state hard drive. Anyway, I'm going back up the window, arrange, tile all vertically, all horizontally. And again, I'm going to drag in this frame that I want to work with. Okay, I'm going to close this out. So I've completely gone destructive, but for this lesson, I'm not going to go the other route. So I'm right here. So what I want to do, I'm going to go Layer Mask, and I'm going to click, hold Option, click it, and there we go. So we have our window pull here we did already. Now I'm going to put it back into darken mode. Okay, I'm going to go back to the paintbrush, and I'm going to go back to, I'm at 100% flow. I'm going to stay there, and I'm going to keep it on a hard brush. Okay, so now let's watch this. I'm going to make it a little larger so you can see it. And here we go. Just paint it in. I'm painting right over the couch is not quite bright. So I'm going to paint this in. See, if I did the flash a little better, I wouldn't have to even go back now and do this. I'm going to go back into here. I'm just going to do the eraser tool. Okay. And I'm just going to go back and take out some of what I just did. But if I did it right, I wouldn't have had to do this. But that's a lot easier than selecting windows, I think. So here we go. To me now, I've got my shadows. I've got a nice looking frame. Okay, I got a nice window. Back here looks bright enough. So what I'm going to do now is save it, bring it back into into Lightroom. Okay, so here it is. You can see it's the Photoshop. It's the. Hold on a second. Where'd it go? Okay, it's a Photoshop file. And one thing I'm going to do now is I'm just going to tweak it a little bit. Let's see. Just do this. Okay. And add a little contrast. And I'm pretty happy with that. You can see now what it looks like. So I've got shadows over here, really nice. This is a lot nicer. I think this looks more than adequate here. I could probably put a light there and light that up, but I'm going for more of a natural look. Got shadows down here, okay? Got a nice sharp here. Now, let me go here and compare it with the other shots, okay? So I'm going to compare this with this is the finished one. Here is the, wait a second, here's the lit, oh, my mouse is not working. Here is the lit frame, okay? Which it's okay, and that's fine, but I like this better. Actually, I could probably paint in a little more lighting for here, because that is a little bit dark, but I think it looks like it would normally. And then also here, the ambient shot, I think there's a big difference between the ambient shot and the finish shot. See? So you're getting this from the lighting that we left in. Let me bring it in a little bit. A lot of the stuff here too it's very subtle. Okay? So let's just look between the two. Here's the ambient. It's not working. Here's the ambient, and here's the lit. Okay? Or the finished product. Here's the ambient. Look right here. So I'm using a lot of ambient, but right there, look at the difference. You can see the wood. You can see the carpet is definitely, wait, let me go here. Carpet is definitely better than the ambient. Look at that, and look at this. You can see. Finish shot, ambient. So we're getting the benefits of both the shots, but we're getting them in different places. Whereas if I did a complete opacity blend, I wouldn't get that. Okay? So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to do an opacity blend just to show you. So I'm going to highlight. This is the lit shot. This is the ambient shot. I'm going to go here and I'm going to edit in, open as layers in Photoshop again. Okay? This way is a little easier for some of you starting out. So I'm just using the lit shot. I'm going to put the ambient on top. Oh no, I'm not. I'm sorry. I'm going to put the lit shot on top. And I'm just going to go over here to opacity. I'm going to blend in some opacity. There we go. Let's see now. Here's like 25% ambient. Here's 50% ambient. And here's 100% ambient. So you can play with your slider. And it just, see how this is kind of one-dimensional with, it's all the lit shot. Let's just bring it in. Let's do 68%. I like that. Okay? So let's see if we compare the two. I'm going to do, my choice would be, let's do 68% ambient. I'm sorry, 68% lit. So I'm going to bring this back into Lightroom. Okay, I'm just back in the Lightroom. Okay, so here's the shot we just did, and here is the one we did in Photoshop. So I'm gonna, okay, here's the ambient blend. Looks great. Here is the one we did in Photoshop. Looks a lot better because I've got the, look at the windows here, just so much better. Here it's kind of nice, but watch this. Here's the ambient, here's the blend as opposed to the, hold on a second, sorry. Okay, I'm gonna go here again. Okay, here's the original lit shot, and here's the ambient blend. So right away, it looks to me a lot better. Okay? So here's the ambient blend, and here is the original lit shot. I'm gonna go here. I'm sorry, I apologize. Here is the ambient blend, and here is the lit shot. So, and here is the original shot. This is the real Photoshop full on that we did, and here's just the ambient blend. So this isn't so bad, but I'm still going with this shot. So I hope this didn't completely confuse you, and I hope you enjoyed it. Love your feedback, and if you like these and they're helping you, they may not work perfectly because if you don't do everything right, it doesn't work, but I'm just giving you an idea of what can be done to go from this to that. This is the lit shot, and this is with some ambient masked in selectively. So anyway, thank you very much, and you have a great day. Talk to you later. Bye. Richbound Photography, Sacramento, California.